folks, welcome you all to yet another vlog of mine. As you can see, people, it is a little cheap vlog today using the iPhone in the little chill out area. I'm going to sit to the side just a little bit so you can see the beautiful lightsaber and all my little bits behind me. It's one of those, people. As always, I hope this sound is okay for you. I've still yet to find a good sort of microphone that I can use for doing these little vlogs. If anyone following the channel knows that I bought from Amazon just a little cheap, I think it was like £10 or something. It was a little sort of furry mic you clipped onto your collar, and it had a little Bluetooth receiver that went in the phone. And it didn't work. Well, it worked for about half an hour of one video. I managed to get it to charge up, but I just couldn't get it to charge after that. And also, there was no way of knowing when the battery ran out on it. So I got halfway through a video recording a vlog, and then I had to record the last sort of 10 minutes all over again because it only lasted about half an hour. So that was a bit posh, wasn't it? Lasted about half an hour, people. So yeah, anyway, it's a beautiful sunny day. I am coming to you on a Flagons Up Wednesday, people, because I am on a holiday, as you will know from the previous vlog from last Friday. And I thought, why not treat you guys to an extra Flagons Up video? Why not indeed, people? Can I say this, and can I say no more Flagons Up to you all? I'm actually covering the Flagons Up symbol, but I'm going to have a sip of this. And actually, I'm breaking my rule as well. Like, my rule is normally like no beers before 5 o'clock, if I am having a beer. And if I'm recording a vlog, I'll let it slide so I can do it at 4 o'clock, because I like to start the vlogs as early as possible so I can get all the mixing together done and all the rendering and all that sort of good stuff. So yeah, I'm breaking the rules today because it's 3:30 in the afternoon. The sun is beating down. I went for a 17k run this morning. I came back and I did a gardening sesh to get the grass cut and all that sort of stuff. I then had to go out and, well, I went out to get some beverages for this and just a few other bits and pieces. But as I got in the car, the car light came on saying no petrol. I never let the car get that low, but thought, right, I better go and do that. So I had a little bit of a good day, sort of, you know, a bit of good exercise, a bit of fresh air in the garden to follow that. And nice, and all that was going around my head was, it's a beautiful sunny day, and it's not too hot either. It's about 21 degrees or something here, 20, 21. But it's just, the sun is splitting, and there's a beautiful breeze. It's just, it's just awesome. So it's just one of those perfect days. Like, this is the sort of perfect summer day for me. Anything above sort of 23, 24 is just too much for me, really. I prefer to be in the shade at that point. Although I say that, I have, as you can probably tell, I've been sunbathing beyond belief while I've been, well, actually before, on the last number of 4 weeks or whatever it is, I've been out sunbathing when I can. But obviously, being off this week, I've been doing loads of that as well, so I'm proper tanned all over. Thank you, apart from the white bits, people. Thank you. You won't be seeing those on this vlog. Anyway, cheers, people. I'll have a little sip of this before we get going. Anyway, there's things been going on, people, that I want to talk about. Channel-wise, he says he's going to have a sip and then he starts talking. Channel-wise, I've been doing Diablo. You'll have seen an episode go up today on Wednesday. And I've recorded a part for, there's already a part uploaded for tomorrow, and there's already a part recorded for Friday and for Saturday. So you've got Diablo 4's coming all the way through to Saturday, and hopefully I'll get some more recorded to see us through the days after that, people. I'm blowing a little bit hot and cold with it, and I realise it's not the game and it's probably me. But sometimes I sit down and I just thoroughly get hooked on it, and other times I sit down and I think, I can't be bothered with this. So I am, at the moment, I'm just trying to keep as on the track with the campaign as possible, mainly because it's the best way to get XP anyway, and just for the interest sake of the story and the change of environments and the boss fights and stuff like that. However, in the last episode I recorded, which is part 20, so you'll have seen up to part 18 as of today. No, 17 as of today, 18, 19 and 20 to come. I did actually end up going into one of the big events on the map, which I finally discovered what it was. And thank you, King Ratfella, for mentioning that today in the video that went up today. Because I think in part 17, I kind of noticed there was a group of people hovering about and grouping together. And I suspected something was happening on the map, but I didn't want to hang around for it because it was like, I didn't notice the clock actually on it. So thanks for pointing that out. But I did notice it in part 20. But the part 21, we only had about 3 or 4 minutes to wait or something. So I thought, right, I'm just going to run around, do a bit of just killing random things while and get to the location. And it was good. Yeah, it was really good. So I'll show that off in part 20 for anyone that's not taken part in one of those yet. So I've been doing that with the channel this week and obviously recording this today. I'm going to have a sip now, people. Woo! Cheers to you all. You know I'd share it if I could, people. I've gone into proper summer mode today, people, with my... I treated myself at the weekend to t-shirt and shorts that you can't see. The shorts were from Next and the top was from Jake Jones, I think they're called. They've always got some nice stuff in there, but it's a little bit pricier than elsewhere. But they had a deal on the t-shirts, 3 for 2 or whatever it was. So they had a few little treats, people, at the weekend. So I'm now wearing them for the first time. Not to mention that I've now got... anyone that follows the channel knows that Celtic, Liverpool, Scotland, that's my three shirts. So I bought myself the new Liverpool top for the new season, and in order to get over the threshold for from the actual Liverpool shop, this is in order to get over the threshold for free delivery. I thought I'll see what I can get, and I thought, oh, baseball cap would be good. Although I probably won't wear the baseball cap in any of these videos because I'll probably just get loads of dislikes because because people will get touchy about their football. People, I don't want to bring division into the channel. People, we're all one here. There's enough division between Xbox and PlayStation. That's why I play both of them. People, we're one human race. People, we should stand together. So there you are. That's been what I've been up to over the last number of days. I had a really nice day out on Sunday actually with my dad for Father's Day, just pottering about town, and we were both treating ourselves to stuff. I treated him to a belt and what have you while we were out as well. So yeah, it was nice. It was really, really nice, and it was one of those days that was kind of overcast and warm but overcast with a little bit of a breeze, so it wasn't uncomfortable or anything. Got a little bit hot at times because we weren't sure. We both put our jeans on, long leg jeans. And then we both wished we'd worn our shorts by the middle of the day. But anyway, it was a really nice day to just potter about with my dad and get some time in with him. So that was nice. Anyway, in the midst of all of this, people, there's been things creeping out of the gaming zones, people, and the gaming world that I thought, well, you know what? There are a few things that we want to talk about today. So let's crack on, shall we? I think I covered everything I was going to channel wise there. So first up, which I just noticed just before recording, people, Final Fantasy 16 reviews are starting to drop, even though Metacritic hasn't gone live yet. IGN have just given it a 9 out of 10. Amazing. So I haven't read what they've said about it because I think I'll just kind of want to make my own opinions up on that game. I'm not getting it day one. It's not because I don't want to play the game. It's just because I've still got so much Diablo 4 to do, and I've still got God of War Ragnarok to finish, and I've still got other games there, to be fair. But I would have been tempted to get it if I felt like I was actually going to play it. But there's no point in me like rushing to get it day one when I'm never going to play it. All of the time that I'm spending gaming at the minute is Diablo 4 for you guys. So I've not even played God of War Ragnarok for a good couple of weeks since Diablo came out because of it. So there's no point in me getting Final Fantasy. I'm never going to get to play it. So, but I am excited to play it at some point. My boy Aaron Brew, he'll be getting it and playing it day one without any shadow of a doubt. In fact, he's taken Friday off so he can do Thursday night, Friday weekend. So he's well excited for that. So those people that have pre-ordered Final Fantasy 16 or were on the fence about it or whatever, that absolutely looks like it's well worth getting and playing, people. I would say this though, obviously Final Fantasy games left behind the turn-based action many moons ago, and this is no different. In fact, if anything, this has gone even more action orientated. But it's a lot of a darker tone to it as well, which is what I liked about what I saw about it. But it is all very, I think, more Devil May Cry fighting than it is Final Fantasy fighting. So just be aware of that. If you're a Final Fantasy fan and you were hoping turn-based would come back, because it hasn't. But yeah, I mean, I'm still excited to play that game though. I like the fact it's gone dark and medieval and that sort of way. Oh yeah, something else to do with the channel. I discovered on, I don't know how I came across this actually. I honestly can't remember how this ever got into my head as to why I've done this, but I ended up on the Bethesda site. Uh, I think it might have been a tweet. It might have been a tweet from Bethesda saying about requesting keys for YouTube channels or something. So it dawned on me that I thought, and I know you've told you guys in the previous vlog last week that I probably won't play it day one, and that probably still holds true unless this happens. A I There's a place you can go on their website and you can register as a creator effectively. So you register and you link your YouTube channel to it or your Twitch channel or whatever it is you're doing or multiple things. And you can request a key from them for the game. And I think if you request the key, you can get it. So it's a bit like reviewing the game effectively. You can get it 5 days early. So I thought, well, that'd be really, really worthwhile for the channel without any shadow of a doubt. I know a million other YouTubers will be doing it and Twitch streamers and stuff, but I think you guys, would certainly like to see me do a bit of Starfield just to see how or what my thoughts of it are, if we can get some up early doors. So I thought, well, why not? So I've registered myself onto the site. I have to wait for approval before I can actually request the key. So I have no idea how long that takes, and I have no idea whether my channel's big enough to even get a key. So, it could be, I mean, let's say, for example, I've got nearly 6,900 subs at the minute. Maybe their threshold is 10,000, maybe it's 20,000. I don't know. I don't know what their threshold is for saying, yeah, you can have a key because your channel's big enough. But anyway, I've registered all that side of it down, and the minute I see that it's been approved or whatever, then I'll request a key for Starfield for the Xbox Series X. So if it comes to fruition, then I'll get some Starfield up for you guys before it comes out, and I can give you my opinions and stuff on it. And I'll just have to play it at the 30 FPS because that's what it is, people. I can't remember if we talked about that in the last video. I'm pretty sure we did because we already knew that it was 30 FPS at that point. So anyway, that was interesting though. I was quite keen to. When I saw it, I thought, well, I would do it for the channel if that was the case. If I could get a key and try it out and all that sort of stuff and not have to faff around with having to buy Game Pass just to try it. I mean, I know Game Pass is only like 10, 11, 12 pound or whatever it is. So I could do it, but that wouldn't get me at 5 days early. So I could show you guys a bit of action or whatever. So anyway, that's in the pipeline, people. I'll let you know how I go with that if anything happens. A few stories that were popping out this week were, which order am I going to do this in, people? I think we're going to go with, okay, so Phil Spencer came out and he's basically said that he doesn't see any need to be doing an Xbox Series X Pro or a mid-generation console effectively. And I'm not saying that that's an incorrect statement at all, because I think he's probably got a point. But well, I do and I don't. I feel like if they could give us a mid-gen console that would be capable of doing games at 60 FPS without it seems to be a very mixed bag of what performance modes we get from games. Some of them are awesome, some of them are sticky, some of them aren't great at all. I mean, Jedi Survivor is a prime example. I mean, even its 30 FPS mode is bloody awful. When you get to certain points, it's just frame dropping all over the place at 30, never mind 60. So it would be nice, I think, to have a mid-gen console that could cope with more of that, perhaps. But if that's not something that could happen for a mid-gen console, I don't know what hardware would need to go into place to combat that, whether it be more CPU or whether it be more graphical power. I'm not sure what the mix is. It depends on how the devs have targeted, I guess, the hardware to do it. But I don't know predominantly what's going to make that 60 FPS happen. I can only assume it's the graphics card, I would have thought, but maybe there's a whole load of CPU power that's needed to do it as well. I don't know. Some of you guys might know better than I, because some of you guys are PC players, I suppose, as well. So you can let us all know in the comments below if you know the answer to that. But interestingly, there are rumours coming out that that PlayStation are possibly going to announce a PS5 Pro. I can, to some degree, I suppose I can kind of see it from Sony's perspective because Microsoft are still kind of able to shout out that they've got the most powerful console because they have. If you put them head to head, it is the most powerful one. Uh, but if they do a PS5 Pro, then that'll no longer be the case. So they can't start singing the praises about that for an entire rest of generation. And also, it might conquer a few hurdles for the real faithfuls that want to. And I don't mean real faithfuls as if other gamers don't matter. Of course they do. But I mean people like me that would be more than happy to spend that money, sell my existing one and buy a Pro to get that extra power because I'm such a, graphics whore, basically, or frame rate whore as it's become. So I'd be super happy to buy one. I could do with it being next year just because of my saving plan. But I've got plenty of money. I've got enough money to be buying one, but I'd rather it not hit my saving plan for this particular budget year. But I'd be more than happy. To be fair, I'd get most of my money back on the PS5 anyway. I mean, I don't know. I might end up only paying out 100 quid for a Pro because I'll get 200 quid for the existing one or whatever the prices were. Not, I know that won't be the prices, but you know what I mean. I think that's what I did with the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. I barely spent anything on them really because I got so much for the PS4 standard and the Xbox One standard. So I would be very interested in mid-gen. I don't think we need them particularly unless they're going to combat that 60 FPS problem that we seem to be running into now. And I think that's going to it seems to be getting more and more regular that 30 FPS seems to be the stable one, and you'll get a performance mode, but it might be a bit hit and miss. That said, I mean, I'd say the Callisto Protocol's 60 FPS mode was brilliant. The Dead Space one was really good, not perfect, but really good. What else? Resident Evil 4, which I've stopped playing at the moment, but Resident Evil 4 60 FPS was very, very smooth. So it does seem to be the very linear type games though that can cope with it. Anything that sort of starts expanding and being a more open environment seems to be more of an ask. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to be forced back into 30 FPS games. I suppose in the last vlog on Friday, I did say that I wasn't happy that Starfield wasn't going to be 60 FPS or have a mode that was 60 FPS. I am kind of, as time goes on, I am kind of forgiving it a little bit because of its pure size and vastness. And I suppose the vision that they had for what they wanted that game to look like. I think, without any shadow of a doubt, they've designed it with high-end PC. As high-end a PC as you've got will play it as beautifully as you like, but when it comes to the consoles themselves, it's going to struggle with 60. I mean, I think they said that they have tried running it at 60 on the consoles, and it's in a lot of places it's great, and in a lot of other places it just can't hold a steady lock. Well, not a lock as such, but it just dips too much, and you've got to fancy that being the busy environments like major cities and stuff like that. But I can forgive it a little bit for not being 60 at launch. I'd still like to see them try and dish out some form of 60 FPS mode though, even if it means them bringing it down to 1080p. I'd rather play it at 1080p at 60 than 30 FPS at 4K, because 4K to me only looks good if I'm stood still. It doesn't look good at all when I'm moving the camera from side to side. And you'll notice whenever they show the footage off, even at the showcase they were doing it, unless it was full out action, if you were just walking around, they barely move the camera from side to side because they know that people can see it's 30 FPS just ain't smooth anymore because we're so used to 60 FPS now. So you can see they're sort of moving really slowly and not panning like left and right so much and just sort of walking very slowly around the place. Unless it's action or space fighting or something where you can't really, you don't really notice it so much because you're just busy with the action. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, these mid-gen consoles, I'll be interested to see what's going to happen with them. It was interesting because apparently Xbox came out and said, oh, well, we actually see the Xbox Series S as our next-gen console and the X is the Pro. It's like, no, stop it now. The Xbox Series S is not your next-gen console. Come on now, that's just ridiculous. The bloody thing can only do 1440p tops. How's that your next-gen console? So there you are. So we'll see what happens with it. My beer is on the same... Well, it's a little stool, actually. where the selfie stand is for this camera, and the beer's sitting right next to it. So I'm trying not to shake the camera as I put my beer down. What else we got, people? PlayStation showcase. Yeah, apparently PlayStation have. There's lots of rumours going around that there's going to be a PlayStation showcase proper at the later part of the year. And for me, though, that sounds like not PlayStation showcase proper. That's, we fucked that up. Let's do another one showcase. If you're going to call it anything, call it that. But I just don't feel like, unless they've been so sly that they've done a showcase that was mediocre, only then to let Microsoft show all their cards and then go, well, we always had another one planned and we've got all this coming. But I just don't see, I don't see that at all. I think we kind of know, Santa Monica's only going to just be starting something now they've finished God of War Ragnarok, so they're not going to be showing anything. Insomniac have already shown their hand. Naughty Dog, we know they're not ready to be showing anything else. The multiplayer game seems to be in real bother. And the other team that would do The Last of Us 3, which I don't think will be their next game, but Aaron Brew thinks differently, they've only just begun what they're doing, so I can't see them showing anything. So I don't know what it is. Horizon's kind of still on with its DLCs and stuff, so I can't see them showing anything major. That studio, is it Guerrilla? So I don't know what their next showcase would be, really. That would come out with anything heavy hitting, I wouldn't have thought. So I don't know, I'm kind of I'm not overly sure about that news. Maybe they will do so. They normally do one showcase and the rest is all state of plays. So they wouldn't be doing two showcases in a year unless they feel like they've royally fucked it up, which I feel like might be more the case. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I'm not holding my breath though, people. I'm not holding my breath. But it was a bit of an odd one just to come out of the woodwork, I have to say. For me, Xbox have completely smashed the showcases of the year for me. Game Awards was kind of good, enjoyed it. It was a fun event. PlayStation's was very mediocre, didn't really excite me at all. And then I think probably the only thing they had was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, was it? It was probably the only thing. In fact, no, they didn't show it at all because that was at the Game Awards, so they didn't even show that. So Final Fantasy 16 was shown off, but we've already seen loads of it anyway. So yeah, so they didn't really have anything for me. But for those people that love Spider-Man, then great. But I just didn't get into Spider-Man 1 at all, much as though I'm not anti-Spider-Man. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, I adored those films. I thought they were great. But the third one had its issues, but I thought they were, I loved that. I was really excited when they were on at the pictures, but I think I am very superheroed out, and I just couldn't get into the first Spider-Man game, so there's very little making me get excited about the second one. But it does look superb, don't get me wrong. For those people that love Spider-Man, that Insomniac are they're the ones propping everyone else up at the moment. They just seem to be banging out hit after hit after hit, whether it be Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and then Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. They just seem to constantly be knocking them out of the park at the minute, getting loads of stuff out there. So yeah, they're on fire. What else we got? Well, that was it actually for the news that I'd kind of picked up on. But this will be a bit of a shorter vlog, by the way, because these little chill-out ones, the little chill-out ones generally are, But I just wanted to reverse back to a general topic, which we've just been talking about, actually, which is the 30 FPS issue. And it is creeping out the woodwork more. And I've heard people sort of saying, oh, well, it is what it is. The devs have got these visions of what they want their games to be. But my problem with what is happening is that everybody's saying that it's going to become more and more common that the game's just going to be 30 FPS and that's it. And that's just the nature. And unfortunately, that's just the nature of having these consoles, and that's what it is. But I don't believe these consoles are not capable of giving us beautiful games at 60 FPS. And I genuinely believe that they are pushing the hardware far too hard. And this problem is stemming from the fact that they're not designing games for the consoles to milk and cream the hardware that's in the consoles. They're making them for high-end PCs, and be damned the consoles. If they can't cope with it, then we'll just give you a 30 FPS mode and a buggy-as shit fucking 60 FPS performance mode that doesn't really hold up. And there seems to be a really And I don't like using the word lazy because I know that devs work super hard, right? But they're under serious time constraints, and their first goal is to make that game run at a steady 30, clearly. And then when it comes to looking at performance modes, they go, oh, fucking hell, this is going to be a nightmare because we've gone so deep with the graphics content, we've got so deep with this, we've gone so deep with that, that it seems to be like backtracking to try and get a 60 FPS version to work. Whereas those brighter devs that think further ahead, well, again, I don't mean brighter as in, they're not as clever as the dev next door. I'm simply saying that if you look far enough ahead and you build your game with 60 FPS, with the console specifically in mind, then you will build your game to be able to run on the console and then be able to scale up for a PC or a higher end PC. That for me is how it should work. And no one seems to be talking about the fact that, dynamic scaling is a thing. Like, the whole point of dynamic scaling is that you can rein the graphics in if things get tough on the screen and then push them back out again and make them better. And you don't notice half the time because it's usually in places where it's super busy or it's super action or it's whatever. I'll never sit there and go, oh, well, that all suddenly looked a bit shit for 5 seconds. And then, but it just seems to be that dynamic scaling is not even talked about at the moment. Like, where's the dynamic scaling? It probably is getting used in 30 FPS modes. But that for me is where, that's where the magic should be able to happen. So if you're using dynamic scaling properly and you use it, you're not pushing your assets too hard that are on the screen and using assets that are just far too much for these consoles to be able to give us a nice 60 FPS, then is there not a way that you can do assets for different, can you not have different assets depending on what the hardware is? I don't know, I'm not a game dever, so I don't know what would be involved in that to say this, for this platform use these assets and for that platform use the bigger assets. I don't know if it's as easy as that. But that might be one way of looking at it. I was thinking about this the other day, right? Much as though when I was stood still, or I was in an environment where nothing was happening on screen, and I panned the camera around in Jedi Survivor, and it was beautifully smooth at 60, which was rare, but it did happen in certain locations. I was thinking, I'd rather have the look and feel of Jedi Fallen Order with a beautiful 60 FPS, which is what we've now got because the game's been patched to run at 60 FPS. I'd rather have a game that is, with those assets, running at a beautiful 60 FPS than what we're getting, which is a game with really heavy assets, which are more lifelike and more. And I get that they want to push the boundaries, but there has to be a balance, surely. Like, we're all like praising the fact that, oh yeah, get a patch on that so I can play it at 60, get a patch on that so I can play it at 60, and we're all in this world of this beautiful 60 FPS, and now we're actually getting the true gen games. We're being told we're going to have to go back to 30 FPS because the devs think they don't want to make stuff they want to make it super, super pretty. And to make it super, super pretty, you've got to have it at 30 FPS. It's like, fucking, I don't want it that super pretty. Give me a prettiness where you can give me a 60 FPS frame rate. That's all I want. People still play Skyrim, and now that it's 60 FPS, they still wander around going, oh, wow, look at this place. Yeah, it looks a bit dated now. Of course it does, but it still looks amazing. It looks incredible at 60 FPS. Fallout 4, another one, like 60 FPS looks great. Yeah, it could look a bit crisper and richer and what have you, I'm sure, if you compared it to something newer. But as I said earlier, these things only look great. Like 30 FPS 4K only looks great when you're standing still to me. Now that I've been playing games at 60 FPS for as long as I can remember, the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever it's been with this new console, I've been playing games at 60 FPS. I can't go back to 30. My eyes don't even adjust back to it anymore. It literally just looks like stickiness on screen to me. Everything's just sticky. But the minute you try and pan the camera around or look up and down, it's just like, no, it's just, it's not nice at all. And I'd rather have a world of 60 FPS, 1080p, or 60 FPS, lower assets at 1440p or something, than what we're being told we're going to have to accept, which is 30 FPS at 4K or 30 FPS at 1440p. It's like, why? Like, there has to be, I don't know, am I stood alone? Like, are the majority of people actually preferring 4K 30 FPS? Because I don't understand it if that's the case. Because as I say, when you stood still, it's wonderful. The minute you start moving around, it's just not very nice at all. So I don't know. Like maybe I do stand a bit alone, and maybe I'm just a bit obsessed with 60 FPS. But for me, I don't want to go back to a 30 FPS world. Like we've lived through that for what 3 generations now. I don't want to live through it again through this one. You know, they were punting the whole 60 FPS thing the minute these consoles were being pushed. You know, oh yeah, we'll be able to give you, you know, these 60 FPS games. And I mean, look at some of the games that have come out with 60 FPS modes. I mean, they look fantastic. They play at 1440p, so it's clearly possible. I mean, Demon's Souls is a prime example. Came out on day one, 60 FPS at 1440p, and it looks incredible. So you're not telling me that other devs can't do the same thing. I mean, look at God of War Ragnarok. I mean, it isn't perfect. It's near perfect, but it's not perfect. There are places where I could see it didn't screen tear, but I could see it getting a little bit sticky at 60 FPS just in certain environment areas. But it was very few and far between. But even that, you know, that is one of the most best looking games I've seen on a console. The best looking game I've seen, last gen or this gen, is the PS5 version of Uncharted 4. And I said this in a couple of vlogs back. Uncharted 4 is by far the prettiest fucking game I've seen on any platform that I've put my hands on at 60 FPS. It was just gorgeous. And yeah, all right, I've got my issues with the game itself because it's, for me, not a proper Uncharted game. Just lost all of its fun, really. But as a visual showcase of what is possible, that game is outstandingly good looking at 60 FPS. And that is not a small game, and it has fairly big environments. It's got massive action set pieces and stuff, and big open areas as well for driving the Jeep around, it has to be said. And yet, they're more than capable of doing it. And I mean, I actually switched back to 30 FPS on Uncharted 4, and I was like, how on earth did I play this like this? I was like, this isn't that, oh. Because I thought the 60 FPS part of it was actually free, but it wasn't. You had to buy the PS5 version to get the 60 FPS upgrade. So when I first put it on, I thought, oh my god. I mean, it looked amazing, but the minute you panned the camera around, it was like, my god, that's sticky. So it was just sublime to get the 60 FPS version. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think of that. I mean, I can't go back to 30 FPS. It's going to really, I'd be tempted to actually stop buying half the games that are coming out. If they're not going to give me a 60 FPS at launch, then I'm just not excited for playing them. It's not nice. Like, I don't want to play games at 30 FPS. So I'm really hoping that statement, it's come out, I've heard this statement from a few people, oh, people will just have to get used to going back to 30 FPS. I really, really hope that devs listen to us and don't do that. You've got to, if you're good, I mean, especially like, here's the bit that I can't really forgive Starfield for, I suppose. They are now an Xbox studio. They are not an independent studio making games for PCs and then trying to push them onto other products. They are now part of a company that is saying that the core of their gaming world is their console. They've just come out, they've just said it, the core of their environment, the core of their ecosystem is still going to be the consoles themselves. Yet, they'll release them on PC as well, but you've now got to design your games with that hardware in mind first and foremost, not PCs. If you're a first-party developer, your primary concern is making it look and play as awesome as possible on your platform. Then worry about PC later on, or you might release it at the same time, but make sure that you can get a game that's beautiful and runs at a 60 FPS mode or a 30 FPS mode on that platform. Then you can go and look at your PCs. Not build it for a high-end PC and then try and squish it into something that obviously can't cope with everything you've just done, with all the assets you want to use and everything you've tried to do. I understand there's a vision, but your vision has to now fit the console that you are now part of that company for. And that's what I can't forgive it for. I understand that Starfield was probably started before Microsoft bought them, maybe, but certainly the minute they were purchased by Microsoft, they should have said, right, we need to make sure this game plays and looks extraordinary on the Xbox Series machines, both the X and the S. I get it that the S won't do it as hardcore as the X, but, you know, you take both into account, you make it work amazing on both platforms. And that's the bit I kind of can't forgive. I understand that they have a vision, but they now have to understand that as a first party studio, you won't find, for me, I'm gonna stand by this until someone says otherwise. You won't find a PlayStation exclusive not releasing with a 60 FPS mode, in my opinion, because they are building those games to milk the ass out of a PS5. And then later, 2 years later, they'll think about trying to put it on a PC, and they'll do something different for the PC and do this, that, and the next thing, usually make it run worse, which is fine. But that's their primary goal, is to make their exclusives be as awesome as possible on their platform. And that's what the Microsoft Studios need to do. Not make them awesome on PC and then leave us with 30 FPS versions, because that ain't good enough. But as I say, I'm kind of trying to cut it some slack because it is such a massive game. But I still feel like they should have put more focus on the Xbox Series X's and S versions, and made it so that it could run at a 60 FPS and what have you there. And it might have meant reining things in a little bit and made the vision a little bit lesser, maybe. We'd never have known it, you know. Anyway, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how it all pans out. But I feel like we can't just let them say they're not giving us 60 FPS modes and that's it. I mean, that for me is just crazy. Absolute madness, that. So anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about all of that. I really wanted just to have a proper good rant about the fact that we seem to be getting told that this 30 FPS is going to become the norm. And I really, really, really do not want that. That is the last thing I want as a gamer on consoles. I don't want to be told that, oh, well, it's just the way it is, deal with it. That is not good enough for the fact that we've been playing now 60 FPS games for the last 3 years now, and having every game under the sun patched with 60 FPS, and we're all used to it, we all love it. We do not want to be going back to 30 FPS at all, unless you really are someone that is happy with playing 4K at 30, and that mode is there for you. But for the rest of us, we absolutely have to have a 60 FPS at 1440p, and I think that is totally acceptable to expect that from them. So anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of all of that, people. Cheers, flagons up to you all again. Well, I did say it was going to be a bit of a shorter vlog, but we've gone on for a good 40 minutes there, people. But that is all I have for you in this little cheap vlog of mine today. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Let me know, by the way. I mean, I'll listen to it back as well. I realise that these headphones are never going to give me the quality of sound that my big my Rode microphone next door, when I do the proper ones, gives me. It's that pure crisp sound. But I'm hoping, I mean, I think the last one we did like this was pretty decent. And if so, if you guys are happy with this level of sound, then I'll just continue to do these like this, I think, because it is the only way that I can ensure that I'm not going to run out of battery power on a mic or something. And it's just dead easy to plug it in and go. It's sort of no more expense required. But if it's not that great, then maybe I'll think about some other way of doing it. But no one seems to have mentioned the fact that it's not that great or whatever. But certainly when I do tests and I listen to the last ones we did, it seems to be okay. Not sure what it's like for. I've actually, through this whole recording, I've had the back door open here right next to me. Right behind this camera is my garden. I've got the back door open. The little breeze coming through. It's gorgeous. But, you know, if someone had turned their lawnmower on, or dogs had started barking, or kids had started screaming, and all of that can happen in my back garden, or the really loud fecking bird that's been winding me up in my garden comes back. I've no idea how much of that this can cut out. But that said, I mean, the Rode microphone won't cut it out either, but we're a bit further away from the garden through there. And generally speaking, when I am recording in that room, I tend to have that back door closed just for the extra peace and quiet. But anyway, there you are, folks. That's it. I've also done this in a summery t-shirt, which is what I was saying earlier and forgot to say why I was mentioning my clothing and why I'd bought t-shirts. But normally I would have a gaming t-shirt on. But this particular day, I have my new summery t-shirt on, people, which I think shows off my tan rather spectacularly, don't you think? Well, there you are, people. Let's say it once more, shall we? Flagons up to you all on this fine sunny Wednesday afternoon. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you once again in this vlog of mine, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Take it easy. Bye.